So up on stage in a minute, we'll have Marc van Zadelhoff. He is the general manager of IBM Security, and he founded the unit, the cybersecurity unit, 6 years ago, with now 8,000 staff and $2 billion in revenue. And his mission is to tell you today what to actually do about cybersecurity in your company. And we'll kick this off with a little video. So enjoy.
This just in, 50 million customers' data was not compromised this morning in a security breach that didn't happen.
Wall Street not rattled at all.
No, not at all, not at all. I mean, look at the guy.
Sir, what went right? What went right?
Everything. Thank you.
With threat intelligence, behavioral analytics, and 6,000 experts, IBM Security will help keep you out of the news.
My dad's company wasn't hacked today. Cool.
Thank you. Guten Tag, CEBIT. How's everyone today? Woo, okay. It's great to be here this year at CEBIT. I love the new spirit, the newness of CEBIT. I was here for the last time 2 years ago. It's my pleasure to be here today, and that was a short video, and I played it on purpose because I want to focus on the positive. You've heard a lot also from Michael Weidner talking about the state of cybersecurity. You guys are reading all the headlines. But I wanted to focus a bit on what I see happening in cybersecurity on the progress side. And I want to focus on what I would do if I were you to start to get ahead of the hackers. And that's really where I'll spend my time today in this presentation. As I mentioned, Michael Weidner preceded me. Dirk Buckhoven will be here from Deutsche Telekom next, my good friend Dirk and our partner. So I feel like I'm in between a German cybersecurity sandwich. I think I'm the cheese or something in the middle, okay? So let's talk about progress for 1 second. Progress can be hard to see. I have 3 daughters, young daughters. They all will celebrate their birthday this summer. And you don't notice them getting older until you pull out a picture from a year ago. And you start to realize that they really have grown a lot in the last year. Progress is hard to see in cybersecurity. And when we read all of the headlines, we must think we're making zero progress. If you look at Michael Weidner's chart on the number of vulnerabilities that continue to appear in software, it feels like we're making no progress. Now, the good news is, as you all know, the lines of software code being written during that graph that Michael showed you has increased exponentially. So in a way, there is progress in that chart in a perverse manner. We have made progress. Pull out your cell phone, your smartphone. There is more security in here than many of us could have dreamed of 20 years ago. And I've been in cybersecurity for a long time. Facial recognition, I have the old one. I don't have facial recognition, but biometrics, encryption, secure apps. There's a lot that goes into mobile devices. There's a lot of progress that has been made over the last few years in cyber, and we don't see it all. And maybe it takes somebody from a 107-year-old company like IBM to talk about progress, because progress takes a long time. And some of you saw Ginny Rometty speak yesterday. IBM is making big bets on progress, and these bets take a long time. What is this behind me? Who knows? A quantum computer. We have a display model in the IBM booth here at the conference. You can look at it. You cannot touch it. When it's fully working, it's frozen to 0 Kelvin, near 0 Kelvin, to do its computation. This is a working model. IBM has been working on this for years, and we are now able to go into production and actually use quantum computing. And if you think about the possibilities and the societal problems that we'll be able to solve with quantum computing, it's amazing. It's progress. That progress takes a long time. Now, of course, as cyber people, we're also thinking about what could be done with quantum computers to decrypt everything that's encrypted today. So there are also bad things that could happen as we start to think of the computational possibilities of quantum computing. Progress takes a long time. Quantum computing takes a long time. Curing cancer takes a long time. One of the efforts that IBM has done, again, Ginny talked about it yesterday, is our Watson Health business, where we trained Watson for oncology. It's actually, I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and the 2 floors above me, I have my colleagues from Watson Healthcare, and they are trying to train Watson to detect and cure forms of cancer. So anytime I think I'm doing something important in my job, I go upstairs and realize that they really are doing something amazing up there. And it really starts to inform the thinking. But this progress as well will take time. So hopefully that gives a little bit of an IBM perspective to how to make progress. And progress in cybersecurity comes slowly, but I do believe we're making it. At IBM Security, we built a system of capabilities over the last few years. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but my belief, and I've been talking about this for a number of years, is that you need to think about cybersecurity as a system of capabilities, an immune system, if I want to use the medical metaphor. And this immune system needs to have maturity in every segment. You need to think about the capabilities you need to have. Sometimes people are just thinking about application security and how to get those vulnerabilities solved that Michael showed before, but they haven't thought about the identities and the users and the insiders and the behavior they're doing. Or they're focused on network security and not thinking about how that relates to what's happening on the endpoint. Cybersecurity is a system that has to come together to defend your organization. I encourage you, I see many of you taking pictures, I encourage you to think about this system. How are you in every domain of security? And are they working together? Are the lines connecting the circles actually working in your organization? As Alex mentioned, I spent the last 6 years at IBM building up IBM's capability in cybersecurity. And when I see people using that immune system, and we have 10,000 customers around the world, it really starts to make a difference, and you start to see progress. So that gives me hope. It gives me optimism. And having been in cybersecurity for 20 years, if I wasn't an optimist, I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. So what to do next? You have the immune system of capabilities. You've thought through how they work together. You've gotten to maturity. Let's talk about some force multipliers that I am starting to see available in cybersecurity. So what is a force multiplier? Well, you see a force multiplier on the screen here. This is obviously a large Navy ship. And if you think about the troops on the ground during battle, the force multipliers for troops on the ground, for soldiers, are the ships, the satellites, the airplanes that help make those troops more effective in conventional warfare. What are the force multipliers in cybersecurity? And today I'm going to focus on 3 force multipliers that I think that I am seeing today help our customers get ahead of the hackers, let alone compliance and the insiders. Those force multipliers work for me on 3 levels. One is the first force multiplier will help make the individual in your organization better. The second one will help make the security teams in your organization better. And the third one, I think, is essential for the cybersecurity industry to go and get smarter as a group. So let me go through those 3 for you. If you've ever seen a grand chess master playing chess, I'm not particularly good at chess myself, but I've seen it done, and when it's done well, the chess master has an intuition, seems to know all the moves that he or she is going to do in the game of chess. They have an intuition that they apply. They have done this so many times that they have an intuition around the game, and they don't have to think about the basics. Imagine if everybody in your security operations center had that kind of intuition. Imagine if we could do something with artificial intelligence, with augmented intelligence, to make every one of your analysts as smart as the best analysts on the planet. And that is what we decided to try and do with artificial intelligence leveraging Watson. We have over 150 customers around the world leveraging this capability. And what did we do? We trained Watson just like my neighbors in the building in Boston trained Watson for oncology. We trained Watson to think about cybersecurity. Every month in cybersecurity, there are 60,000 blogs published. So who can read 60,000 blogs a month? Watson can read 60,000 blogs in about half an hour. Watson never forgets. It never gets distracted. It doesn't have attention deficit disorder. It's a wonderful thing. And it reads every article on the planet, every blog, every paper, every research periodical put out by universities like Michael's, and it is able to put that into a corpus of knowledge, combined with structured data that we feed it, combined with the latest insights from the dark web that our researchers are putting together. Watson has become really, really smart on cybersecurity. You see the process in the background here and how Watson learns. We train it over time. It took a little bit of time to train Watson. When you told Watson in the beginning it's a back door, well, a back door in cybersecurity is very different than a back door in a hospital, a vulnerability, a virus. But Watson learned, and today it has over 10 billion structured elements that it has taken from these unstructured documents, and we're seeing analysts use this in a SOC so that when you see an incident come into the SOC, Watson can help to tell you what is that incident, what happened, what hacking group, what should you do next, where else should you look in your environment. It helps to increase the time by 24 times of inspecting incidents. Just an example of using artificial intelligence, and we're seeing more and more examples of leveraging AI. If you think about how hacks are happening, Equifax happened at the application layer, WannaCry, Petya at the OS layer, Spectre and Meltdown at the chip and hardware layer. You can start to apply artificial intelligence at every different aspect of security. If I take the application layer, source code scanning, you go to your development team, you say, your coding is terrible. You got to have better coding practices. Use this tool to do source code scanning. It'll tell you where you're doing a bad job. There are a lot of false positives that come up because it's hard to do source code scanning. We applied AI to scanning, and we're able to reduce false positives by 98%. We applied AI to insider threat, insider risk, risky users, and we're able to apply machine learning to users to detect user behavior and figure out which users were posing the biggest risk to your organization. 55% of breaches are happening because of insiders, not hackers. So a lot of AI being put towards user behavior on the inside of your organization can make a big difference. So to me, artificial intelligence, if done well, can make the individual in your team do the work of 20, 30, 40 people. And in a world where we're going to have 2 million vacancies in cybersecurity by 2021, and I know we have a hard time in Germany with a hot economy in Germany finding skilled people, AI can make the individual more productive in your organization. So that's the first force multiplier. The second one helps make your team more effective, okay? The second force multiplier is all about orchestration. And it's taking your team and making sure that they work together well during an incident and able to handle more incidents a day. Again, with this capability and with these practices, we see teams going from 20 or 50, 10 or 15 incidents per analyst up to 30 or 40 incidents per analyst. So let me tell you a little bit about orchestration. This is a fun one. The first part about orchestration is having the right person with the right data at the right time. So when an incident occurs, the technical term, when the shit hits the fan, hopefully that translates into German, how do you have the right data and the right runbook available to know what to do? And typically the response to a breach, and you guys have seen this on the news, sometimes the response makes it even worse. Who's the spokesperson? What's the statement they're going to say? How are you going to communicate with each other if the email systems are down? What is the runbook for cybersecurity? We're helping our customers put together these runbooks and automate the process of incident response. And that can make a big difference for your teams working well together in a cybersecurity center. The next thing that we do is we have your teams practice an incident. We set up a cyber range in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I live, and we have had over 1,500 customers come in the last year and practice what it's like to go through an incident. You go, you become a member of a fake company, and you try and stop the breach from happening. And of course, no matter how hard you try, in the end, it happens. An attack occurs, we take the latest malware, drop it into this fake company, and you as a team have to work through and figure out how in the world are you going to recover from this breach. So you start to practice it. Who's going to talk to the press? Who's going to write the statement? What are we going to tell the CEO? What's the intent of the company once we've done this breach? Right when you think you're doing well, we bring you up and have you do a live television interview. Often that's a pretty hard process. What will you say when the journalist asks you about that incident? When the journalist asks you, why do you still have your job? You must be terrible at what you do, right? So there's a lot of fun that we have with the Cyber Command Center. I would like to invite all of you to come and visit. We have, as I said, had over 1,500 customers go through it. It is a really educational exercise, better than a tabletop exercise where you really get a sense of how would your team, and not the security team, how would your company, PR, communications, marketing, legal, security, IT, get through an incident. What we have found is that three lessons learned. One is culture counts. Culture around cybersecurity. Have you had a cybersecurity aware culture? Have you thought through what is the intent? If you look at the breach that happened at Maersk, Maersk had actually, while they had a lot of problems, they had a good cyber culture. The CEO made known his commander's intent to everybody at the company, which was do what's right by the customer and we will bear the cost during this incident. That is a culture of solving a cybersecurity incident that will really help your company. Playbooks crack under pressure. A lot of people have written their playbooks by hand or in a spreadsheet. Playbooks crack if they're not automated, if they're not practiced, if they're not including scripts and ways of automating your environment. And then leadership matters. And sometimes the best business leaders are not good at getting through a cyber incident. Sometimes as somebody who's been in the military or who has worked in a hospital emergency room, they're the ones who really know how to deal with things when it goes really badly. So this has been a very fun area of our business where we've been teaching customers how to orchestrate and prepare for a breach. I think orchestration, preparing for incident response, is a force multiplier for your organization. Your team can work better together, can get more done, more incidents processed, and can make you more effective if something does, in the end, go badly. The third and final area is at the industry level. This area is around open collaboration. How do we ensure, as a security industry, that we are being more open with each other? This extends from the public to the private sector, from enterprises to vendors like IBM Security, which I represent. How do we truly partner in this area? I was a little bit frustrated with the collaboration happening in cybersecurity about 3 or 4 years ago, so I made a decision to make all of our threat information available to any of our customers and partners. We threw it open as an experiment to see how that would help our customers get ahead of the hacker. So that was the first effort. You see that represented in the middle of the page here. We created a cybersecurity threat portal where all of our threat intelligence was shared, and everything that we published in threat intel, our customers get access to immediately. We have over 13,000 customers collaborating on the X-Force Exchange portal. It's a free capability. It allows you to share what you know in groups, private groups, or in public forums, and we've seen a lot of interest here in this open collaboration. That went so well that we kicked off an app exchange, which is shown on the left, where we allowed our customers and partners to build apps with their intellectual property on top of our capabilities. And then finally, we kicked off, and I encourage everybody to look on the right here, an effort called Quad 9. And I would encourage you all to Google Quad 9. This is a collaboration between IBM, the Packet Clearinghouse, and the Global Cybersecurity Alliance. And what Quad 9 does is it allows for 9.9.9.9, 4 of them, to be used for safe internet browsing and emailing. And we have donated, IBM owns 9.9.9.9, we have donated that to the Packet Clearinghouse with a bunch of research on detecting bad DNS traffic. And PCH is now able to detect in real time hackers that have set up new domains for command and control, for spamming, for malware, for ransomware. We are seeing millions of people point their endpoints to 9.9.9.9, and it is collectively trying to figure out where the bad guys are and getting rid of the bad guys and blocking their activities on the internet. I think it's a very exciting service, something that is for the public good, and I encourage you all to get involved with Quad 9. Now, I mentioned the app exchange on the left side of the screen here. Over 200 apps have been built on top of our capabilities, and you see some of them here. Some of our partners, Cisco, Carbon Black, Fortinet, Wandera, building apps that leverage what they know on top of capabilities that IBM has, like IBM QRadar, BigFix, Resilient. So this is an ecosystem of capability. And if you think about the hackers colluding on the dark web to try and hack into everything we do, we need to be collaborating as the good guys. I hope everybody here is the good guys, and making sure that we're sharing what we know to try and get ahead of the hacker. So the App Exchange has had over 200,000 downloads, and I think it's a very exciting way. Most of these apps are free, but they really start to help you to bring things together for the purposes of beating the attackers. So, you see a couple of examples here on the screen. If I get the next slide up. There we go. A couple I wanted to show. Cisco came out with a really nice app recently that takes their FireAmp technology and combines it in with some of our threat intelligence. That's been downloaded about 1,000 times in the last 3 months that it's come out. Carbon Black for endpoint detection and response, coming out with capability that integrates into our incident response orchestration capability that I mentioned earlier. And then we are coming out with an app that takes information from AWS, Azure, and IBM Cloud and brings it into a single public cloud dashboard where you can see your security posture of all your workloads on the public cloud coming together in one pane of glass. So these apps really help you to integrate third-party technologies, help you to integrate all the infrastructure areas where you're bringing your capability. So with that in mind, I want to conclude talking about force multipliers, as I said before. The goal is to set up an immune system that brings together all your security capabilities and gets you to a state of maturity. As you do that, you can start to leverage these force multipliers. Artificial intelligence to augment how smart your team members are and have them do more. Orchestration to make sure you're ready for an incident and be able to handle more incidents per employee in a given day. And then open collaboration so that you are able to share in the rich threat data that I know, that governments know, and that other customers know at your avail. As I said in the video in the beginning, this is my goal for cybersecurity, not to talk about the bad headlines, but to make sure that there are fewer headlines. I wish you guys a wonderful rest of CEBIT. Thank you very much for listening, and come see our capabilities at the IBM booth. Take care. Bye-bye.